his hunger from the assorted meats available to him in the city. Peter had no trouble accepting the command to eat. Yes or no? What God had cleansed, that call not thou command, occurs how many times? The unclean animals in the seat then were the dash, as the ceremonially clean animals represented the dash. The prayers and alms of Cornelius could not have secured him salvation. Thus, of Christ alone could do that. Although some have suggested the name Christian was derived from the Greek word Christos, or useful, the name of a slave, a common enough name at that time. It is more likely the name derived from dash, the Greek form of the title Messiah, the one about whom disciples were always talking. What caused a church for the first time to have taken up a collection to help another church? As the funds accumulated, were chosen to take the money to Jerusalem. Who were? Was the first of the apostles to suffer martyrdom. The Jews took vindictive satisfaction when Herod arrested Peter, the acknowledged leader of the apostles. True or false? The feast of unleavened bread lasted how many days or weeks? The Lord's people who spent the night praying for Peter's last minute release were not surprised by his release. Each of Paul's three missionary journeys had a different emphasis, and taken together, the three journeys confront us with a blueprint for all missionary activity. Paul was evidently not shocked at Mark's defection. After the infuriated mob stoned Paul, the text says, supposing he had been dead, does not mean to imagine or merely suppose, but means to conclude from custom, law, or evidence. True or false? John Mark was the dash of Barnabas. A lot is known of Barnabas after he took Mark and sailed unto Cyprus. True or false? The abrupt change in the text narrative of Acts in chapter 16 verse 10 from the third person to the first person, from they to us, indicates that dash had now joined the realm. At Philippi, who was unable to follow his usual practice of making his first point of contact in the synagogues, where as a trained rabbi he could always be assured of a warm initial welcome and at least one good initial hearing for the gospel. The Athenians considered themselves to be a master race. True or false? The warning that read, "No foreigner may enter within the barricade that surrounds the temple and enclosure. Anyone who is caught doing so will have himself to blame for his ensuing death," was written in Greek and Hebrew, or Greek and Aramaic, or Greek and Aramaic, or Greek and Latin. Religious hatred is never overly concerned about the truth of a matter. When it has finally found a way to get even with the object of its dislike. Jerusalem had always been an easy city for the Romans to govern. Why would the Jews not call the believers Christians? Drusilla was the niece of Herod Agrippa I, the Herod who murdered James. Paul's third house in Rome